Welcome to Buy or Buy, where today we are diving deep into the weirdest, most ambitious, and honestly, one of the most controversial cars BMW has ever built, the i3. This thing isn't just an electric car. Oh no. It's a science project on wheels, a vision of the future, and maybe, just maybe, either a future classic or a total financial nightmare. Let's figure it out.
To really get the i3, you have to throw the normal car rulebook right out the window. This was BMW's grand experiment from 2013. And looking back now, it feels less like a clear vision and more like a bizarre, high-tech, and really interesting fever dream.
And what a dream it was. I mean, the main body is made of carbon fiber, the same stuff you find in supercars and F1 cars. It's got these coach doors that open backward, like a Rolls-Royce. It rides on tires so skinny they look like they were stolen from a road bike. And just to make it even stranger, you could get it with a tiny motorcycle engine in the back. Not to drive the wheels, no, but to act as a little gas generator. It is just profoundly, and I think brilliantly, weird.
But for all of its incredible, futuristic ideas, the i3 was haunted by a very simple present-day problem. And this, right here, is the car's single biggest flaw, especially in the early models, the absolutely pathetic range.
You see, the i3's entire story is really the story of its battery. The first cars had a tiny 22 kilowatt-hour battery. By 2017, that got a nice bump to 33. And then from 2019 on, it got a much more usable 42.2 kilowatt-hour battery. Now, this isn't just some minor update. This is the difference between a car being a novelty and it being actually useful.
And the numbers really tell the whole story. Those first-gen cars were officially rated for just 81 miles of range. By the end, that had jumped to 153 miles. And let me tell you, that 81-mile figure, that was wildly optimistic. We're talking perfect conditions, no AC, no heat, and definitely no driving on the highway.
So in the real world, most owners of those early i3s were seeing closer to 60 miles. 60! That's just enough to create constant, nagging range anxiety. You weren't just driving, you were always doing mental math, wondering if you were actually going to make it home.
But the range? Oh, that was just the beginning. The i3 is really a collection of truly brilliant ideas that were often, let's say, compromised by some pretty questionable execution.
So let's start with that motorcycle engine. It's called the range extender, or REX for short. On paper, it's genius, right? Your battery gets low, a tiny gas engine fires up, makes electricity, and boom, no more range anxiety. It sounds like the perfect solution. But in the real world, it was a deeply flawed system.
And here's why it just didn't work. First, because of some weird emissions rules here in the US, BMW had to software limit the gas tank to just 1.9 gallons. That's it. That gets you maybe another 60 miles. Then, because most people just charged at home, the engine never ran, which led to carbon buildup. So the one time you actually needed it on a road trip, it would run rough. It just added weight, complexity, and another thing to break, all without really fixing the problem.
Okay, now let's talk about the tires. They aren't ridiculously narrow. We're talking 155 millimeters. For context, your average sedan has tires that are 225 millimeters wide. They literally look like pizza cutters. Now, this was all done to reduce friction and squeeze out every last mile of range, but the trade-off is a serious, serious lack of grip. In the rain or snow, these things are genuinely sketchy.
And the punchline? Because they are such a bizarre, custom size, they are not cheap. You're looking at paying anywhere from $200 to $300 per tire. And you have very, very few brands to choose from. It's a lot of money for a tiny little patch of rubber.
All right, now we have to get to the i3's biggest party trick, which also happens to be its biggest liability, that incredible and incredibly expensive carbon fiber body.
First, let's just admire the genius here. This is a true masterpiece of engineering. BMW built the entire passenger cell out of carbon fiber to offset the weight of the batteries. It's fantastically light, incredibly strong, and makes the i3 super safe in a crash. It's basically supercar tech in a little city hatchback.
But here comes the gut punch. That fancy material has a crippling downside. If someone bumps you in a parking lot, a repair that would be a few $100 on a normal car can easily cost over $3,000 on an i3. Your local body shop can't work on carbon fiber, so it has to go to a specialist, and insurance companies will often just total the car for what looks like minor damage.
But believe it or not, even the crazy carbon fiber repair bills aren't the i3's most feared mechanical failure. So what do you think it is? The battery? The electric motor? Nope, it's something much, much more boring.
It's the air conditioning compressor. I know, right? This one little part cools both you and the high-voltage battery. When it fails, it can grenade itself, sending tiny metal fragments through the entire cooling system. And since that system is connected to the battery, the cleanup is a massive job that can easily top $5,000. It is a catastrophic failure from one simple component. And on top of those big-ticket items, there's a whole list of other common headaches. The little 12-volt battery dies and bricks the entire car. The charging port door gets jammed shut. The front suspension starts clunking. And yeah, those cool rear doors, they're a total nightmare in a tight parking spot.
Okay, I know. After all of that, you're probably thinking, why on earth would anyone buy this car? But here's the twist. Despite its many, many flaws, the i3 can be a genuinely brilliant and incredibly lovable car.
Here's what this car gets absolutely right. That instant electric torque makes it feel so quick and zippy around town. It is a blast to drive. It has this ridiculously tight turning circle, which makes it an absolute dream in the city. And the interior, wow, it's like nothing else on the road. It feels like you're sitting in a futuristic Scandinavian lounge, all made from sustainable stuff like recycled plastics and beautiful eucalyptus wood. It feels special every single time you get inside.
So, let's be super clear. This car is not for everyone. It only makes sense for a very, very specific person. You need to have a short commute, you probably should live somewhere with mild weather, you absolutely need a garage to charge it in every night. And most importantly, this really has to be your fun second car, not your one and only.
So let's bring it all home. With a huge list of pros and some absolutely devastating cons, what is the final verdict? Is the BMW i3 a buy or a buy?
You know what? The verdict is split. For those early 2014 to 2016 models with that tiny battery, it's a hard buy. The range is just not usable anymore. For any model with the range extender engine, it's also a buy. The complexity just isn't worth it. But for the late 2019 to 2021 models with the big battery, it's a cautious maybe. If you are that perfect owner we just described, it's a unique, fun, and super stylish city car that you can now find for a bargain.
And that really leaves us with a final question. The BMW i3 is a true automotive oddball. It's a flawed masterpiece that was way ahead of its time and in some ways maybe not ready for it. So, is owning this piece of high-tech, high-risk history worth it for you? Well, that's something only you can decide.